Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera to all of you. My name is SITI BINTI ZULKIFLI, and today in our Tech Talks, I will be talking about the power of manipulation, or the darkness of the manipulation itself. So, let me begin with the definition of manipulation. So psychologically, manipulation can be defined as the exercise of undue influence through mental distortion, emotional exploitation, with the intention to seize power, control, benefits, and or privileges at the victim's expense. Ladies and gentlemen, it is very important for us to distinguish healthy social influence from psychological manipulation. Healthy social influence occurs between most people, and when after you experiencing it, you will feel a ton of very good feelings, a ton of very stable, very peace and calm, and your energy is very much stable. And is part of the give and take of constructive relationships. On the other hand, in psychological manipulation, one person is used for the benefit of another. The manipulator, which is the person who has the hand in the relationship, deliberately creates an imbalance of power and exploits the victim to serve his or her agenda. Alright. Now that we are talking about manipulation, I would like to point out, I would like all of you, I would like the people to know that manipulation is very common nowadays. It's very common used in human interaction. It is channeled through human interaction, through verbal communication, and a lot other more, which is very worrying because manipulation itself is very dangerous to the victims. So the people who get manipulated, it is very dangerous for them. It could affect their health, their mental health, physical health, and a lot of other reasons. That is very not good if it happens to them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, manipulation is done by certain people who has this selfish needs, who has their own goals that they want to attain, they want to achieve, and they use other people to get to it. And manipulation is one of their ways to get to what they want. So, I will be pointing out first in my talks today the characteristics of the manipulators. And then I will be moving on to examples of manipulations or manipulation stages and phases. Alright, let me begin. So, when we were talking about manipulators, we are talking about a group of people. Not a group of people though, but people who are very skilled, who are very cunning, who are very tricky, whose minds are racing. They are very smart. I would not say smart in a very smart positive way, but smart as if in a cunning way. They actually planned out their manipulation strategically, or in a form of phase. They done it very smooth, very subtle. And I would like to say that, I would like to point out that manipulation is a trait. A trait that a lot of people don't realize that they have it, and a lot of people don't realize that they are manipulating other people. But actually, I would like to pin down, to actually stresses on manipulators who know that they are manipulating. It's actually very impossible for us to not know that we are manipulating other people. But most of the time, as human beings, we just manipulate. We just manipulate, and we don't realize we're doing it at the first place because it has been such common practices for us to actually do it. And that is actually already carved. It's the bad traits that already carved in your personality. You were not born with it. It's basically carved in your personality. And that the manipulators who know that they are manipulating other people, they are doing it to achieve their goals. And they don't pick out people. They just randomly pick people who is important for them, who is deemed important for them to achieve their goals. And they manipulate this in various ways. Mind games, mind playing, mind power. They have this. So in their manipulation stages or manipulation phase, they are doing it like an analysis. They analyzes it. They analyzes their steps. They basically analyzes it, and it is actually a very cunning kind of way. And now that we're talking about manipulators, I will be talking about the manipulation that they does. So let me read out a couple of examples that I have. First of all, this is my favorite, gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of form of manipulation. It's one of the manipulation examples. And gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse where a person or group makes someone question their sanity, perception of reality, or memories. People experiencing gaslighting often feel confused, anxious, and unable to trust themselves. So this one form of manipulation is very dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, because most of the victims don't realize that they are being manipulated. They don't realize that the manipulators actually put them in a place where it is very damaging for their mental health. It could damage their self-esteem because they would not believe themselves. The victims most of the times perceive the manipulators and other people, as a normal human being. And when the manipulators does this in a form of gaslighting, manipulation, in a form of gaslighting, the victim is unable to comprehend what happened. For example, I would give you a situation where your friend does something bad, like she insults her teacher, and you hear it, and you confront her. You confront her by saying, "Oh, Sarah, it's not good to say that. I heard what you said. You said this and this and this." And Sarah goes on and being manipulating her friend by saying, "What are you talking about? I don't understand. I've never said that." That, ladies and gentlemen, is a form of gaslighting. And if they actually expenses their words or their statements by saying, "What are you talking about? You don't hear it right. I did not say that. You're just making that up." That is a form of manipulation. It's a very bad form of manipulation because you are making an exaggeration about what the reality of what you did. You project it. You are making the other person feeling very confused, and they will doubt themselves actually. And that is just one of the most basic form of manipulation, gaslighting. And there is a lot of other to that, and I will read it out to you. A few more examples. Okay. Right. This is one of the other famous or common manipulation from nowadays. Victimhood, or what we say, people who play victim. Now there's a difference between a people who is a real victim, between a people who are playing victim. And I have seen this a lot of times in my life, that people playing victim to their own mistakes, to their own situation that they created, aggressive situation that they created. They don't create any peaceful situation, they create aggressive situation because they are aggressive themselves. They are manipulators. And you have to remember that they are not normal people. They don't think. A lot of these people do not think like normal people because they have to exercise this manipulation that their minds actually becoming very different on how you act in society, on how you act psychologically, you know, what we call that in a basic normal human being psychological traits that you're supposed to act. They do not act like that. And people who play victim, let me read it out for you. Examples: exaggerated or imagined personal issues, exaggerated or imagined health issues, dependency, codependency, deliberate frailty to elicit sympathy and favor, playing weak, powerless, or martyr. So actually the purpose of manipulative victimhood is often to exploit the recipient's goodwill, guilty conscience, sense of duty and obligation, or protective and nurturing instinct in order to extract unreasonable benefits and concessions. So from that statement, you can actually tell that manipulators are basically very different, a very different type. That people who play victim, they want something from other people. They want to exploit their sympathy so that they could get what they want, which is, we are returning to the definition of manipulation itself. The manipulators, people who play victim, they want to exploit others' sympathy because they don't want to be held accountable for what they did most of the time. So they exploit sympathy, playing victim, and blaming other people. It's a very severe form of manipulation. It's not a manipulation. It's not just a manipulation, but it's a psychological abuse. And a lot of us don't realize it that a lot of people play victim to their own bad situation that they created, and then they put on the blame to other people, which is very damaging for that person who became the scapegoat. Right. Sorry. So now that I have gave the second example of manipulation, now I will move on to this one particular manipulation tactics. So let me read it out for you. Manipulative people may let the other person speak first and ask questions in order to assess that person's weaknesses. Yes. And the second one is, other signs of manipulation include overwhelming someone with facts or procedures, raising one's voice to get what they want, or playing dumb. This is very common, very basic. And the third one is, sometimes people who display signs of being manipulative are not doing it intentionally. Instead, they may simply have bad habits. And this is what I mentioned early on. But I will focus on the first point, which is manipulative people may let other person speak first and ask questions in order to assess that person's weaknesses. So, okay, let me explain about this one. People who does this, manipulators who does this, a lot of times when manipulators they're interacting, they're having human interaction with other people, they let you speak first because they want to assess your weaknesses. They want to assess your understanding. They want to assess your perceptions of reality. They want to assess you. They want to read you. So they are not just any people. They are very cunning in their minds. And a lot of the examples that like we could find in our daily lives is that many salespeople do this when they prospect you by asking you general and probing questions. They establish a baseline about your thinking and behavior from which they can then evaluate your strengths and weaknesses. And this type of questioning with hidden agenda can also occur at the workplace or in personal relationship. So manipulators, if they want to, when they plan their strategy, they assess you as a human being. They assess your mind, they assess your personality, and if you are an empath, if you are a caring person, they will assess that. And if you're a person who is naive, innocent, hasn't really experienced a lot of things, they can read that, and they can use that. They can use that to their own advantage. They exploited you, and that's how they create their own lies. Their own lies, manipulation, twisted facts, in order to gain control over you, gain power and control over you. So that's what manipulators do, ladies and gentlemen. Alright. Now that I've explained about 3 examples of manipulation, let me move on to the effects that manipulation has on the victims. So, ladies and gentlemen, people who have been through psychological abuse, which manipulation is one of the most common examples of one of the psychological abuse, especially if they experience it through the childhood, their mental health is actually in a very critical phase. Because, ladies and gentlemen, people who experience manipulation or psychological abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, is that these people experience a fog, experience a very distorted mental thinking, which is really bad for them, because it could, like I mentioned earlier, it could have effects on their self-esteem. It could make them feel unworthy. It could make them feel hard to trust themselves, because they were being manipulated, and that they find it hard to actually trust themselves, because a lot of the times there were cases that these people were manipulated into thinking that, oh, their decisions, their opinions does not matter. Hence, they don't trust themselves. They don't make the correct decisions. They depend on other people to make decisions for them. So that's why manipulation is very bad. It's very severe on the victim's part. On the manipulator's part, it's not severe for them. They do not care. They do not care that they have actually caused something to other people's well-being. They do not care, because they themselves are very selfish people. They themselves only care about themselves. They themselves is only insecure. Is only thinking about the things that they deserve to get, the things that they need to get. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I ended our topic today, our title for our topic today, which is the power of manipulation, or the darkness of manipulation, is that manipulation is very powerful. Like I said earlier, manipulation is practices, and human interaction is practices a lot. And what's very worrying is that a lot of people don't realize they are being manipulated. They don't realize their words are being twisted into accepting the manipulators ideas and opinions and everything. They do not realize. So that's why manipulation is very powerful. It can basically get you to where you want to go, to how well you planned it, and just put yourself as a manipulator. And manipulation is used is that you gain this control over other people, you gain this power over other people, and that when you gain power and control over other people, they basically are vulnerable. They are very vulnerable, and that's why manipulation is powerful. And that at the same time, it's not just a very good powerful. No, it's not. It's a very dark kind of powerful, a very bad kind of powerful, that it makes other people vulnerable, that it puts other people in very vulnerable state for the manipulators to actually exploit them. So in conclusion is that we should always acknowledge, always gain knowledge, always assess the environment, the situation you are in, assess the people you interacted with, the people who give bad vibes, negative vibes to you, the people who after you're talking to at a party or social events left you feeling of drained energy. That person is not a very good person. And that person is basically, if they're doing manipulation, they will left you drained. They will left you feeling confused, feeling drained of your energy. They will left you feeling very, very foggy light, which means very distorted perception. And we should keep an eye on people. We should keep an eye on things like this, so that we don't be in a very vulnerable state, so that we don't give other people power or control over us. And that we should always strengthen our boundaries between other people, with other people. And that manipulators always step over people's boundaries is one of also very common examples of manipulation, of manipulators' characteristic. They overstep your boundaries. They don't respect your privacy boundaries. They do not respect. So it is very important for you to establish all this, establish boundaries with other people, establish your own knowledge, establish your own understanding of people, assessment, analysis of people, so that we know when we are being manipulated. And ladies and gentlemen, that is all from me, SITI Sarah BINTI ZULKIFLI, on our tech talks about the power of manipulation, or the darkness of manipulation itself. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for watching.